What is going on today, guys? Tom Cat here, and today we're going to be talking about customization in SnowRunner. Now, the developers just released this early look into the customization that the game is going to have, and they showed this lineup of Chevy trucks, and I was like, oh my god, we're making an army of pink trucks. We just have to. So, regardless of whatever color you would want your truck to be, take a look at this screenshot for a second and just take in the fact that these trucks all have different lights, different bumpers, different wheels, horns, spotlights, all that sort of stuff. And also, take a look at the garage in the background, because that's another really important thing that we'll get to a little bit later on, because they touched on a lot about the garage specifically and the role that the garage would play in relation to how the customization is going to work. Now, it is important to touch on the fact that in this sort of round of information that they've released, they were only discussing visual customization, with performance customization to be talked about later. The only things that they did mention about performance customization in this particular release was that you would be able to customize your suspension, engine, and tires. So I can only assume that you would be able to take a, let's use those Chevy trucks from the beginning as an example. Let's say you could take that truck and you could do maybe a lifted suspension, bigger tires, and, maybe, I don't know, put a cam in it or something, make a little bit more power. I don't know if they'd ever go so far as to add things like turbos or superchargers, but if they went to that extent, that would be nuts. But anyways, on to the material they talked about in this particular release. Now, they started off by saying that there are two main ways to customize your truck's appearance: alterations and additions to the vehicle and paint jobs. All of this is done in the garage, a building on the map that you must first discover. Now, they said that they have a large range of colors and schemes to choose from, and that they also mentioned a hypothetical scenario of transporting equipment through Alaska with a pink Freightliner, which I thought was hilarious. Where it starts to get even more interesting is when you go a little bit further on to read that they say there is a truckload, quote-unquote, a truckload of possibilities when it comes to customizing your vehicle, such as bumpers, rims, exhausts, fenders, and more. And then they say the options you have will depend on the vehicle you want to customize. Some vehicles will even have additional lights, such as the Chevy Silverado's roof fog lights and beacons. And again, I'm reading this straight from what the devs have released, so there's no question if this information is correct or not. The next thing they move on to say is that these upgrades have to be earned. They say you have to basically get your truck out in the world, get jobs done with it to earn money and experience to unlock everything. Now, with that being said, they did not touch on anything in regards to how long any of this would take to unlock or how expensive any of it would be in terms of the game's money system. So that's something that I would really like to know more about. I would really like to know more about how the game's money system works. I would like to know more about how just the whole ecosystem within the game works. And I would just honestly like to know more about how they've designed the business aspect of the game, right? Like the aspect of earning money and putting it towards your trucks, because I really truly want to know how grindy it's going to be. Because when you have a money system like that, I could see it being very easy for it to go down the road of being really grindy. And I feel like it's important that they strike a good balance between fun gameplay but not making it too grindy, because if they make it too grindy, they're going to make a lot of people unhappy, because there's a lot of people out there that don't like grindy gameplay. Now, I'm not saying to just go ahead and like throw money at people, but what I am saying is you don't really want to have to sit there and grind for hours and hours and hours just to get enough money to get like that one exhaust. Now, does that add to the meaning of, being able to afford that exhaust? Well, sure. But I would love to have an open conversation with you guys about this in the comment section below. And I want you guys to let me know if you would rather have a system where money is fairly easy to come by and then you just get to pick what parts you want, or if you'd rather have a system where it's like you have to sort of pick what you want ahead of time and then sort of grind and save up for it so you can afford it later on down the road. And I wonder if you guys think that that makes it more meaningful and that makes you feel more connected to it in the game, or if you just find that sort of gameplay annoying and don't really want to have to deal with it. So that's, again, something I would really like to would really like to get y'all's opinion on. And speaking of exhausts, take a look at this Dairy Longhorn painted up to look like a actual ladybug. It's a little bit of an odd paint scheme, I've got to admit, but it really does go to show that they're diving very, very deep into the visual customization and just really being willing to give you guys all sorts of wacky, crazy, all over the place paint schemes. And I think it'll add a lot of depth to the base game trucks, because the base game trucks, for me, have always had the problem of the fact that they just sort of got old quickly, and that's why I would always just turn to mods so fast. Whereas the base trucks, I mean, they were good for my first playthrough, but after that, I was like, okay, where are these, where are the modded trucks at? Give me the modded trucks, because I sort of got tired of the trucks in the base game. But, and then when I think back on it, I remember how much I used the base trucks back in the original Spin Tires and then back in the tech demo before that, which, the stock trucks do have their charm and they do have their appeal, but the fact that this series has lacked customization up until now has made it a bit, it has made the ceiling a little bit limited in terms of how long the base trucks will effectively last. So, by the way, I hit that sign on purpose because I wanted to see if I could get it lodged in the truck, and I did. I don't know why, but sometimes these signs will straight up lodge themselves in your truck, and it makes for the most hilarious scenarios. Now, going back to the, by the way, if you ever want to drive up a rock, I wouldn't suggest doing it here because it'll wind up on your side. I literally was like, I wonder if I can use that as a ramp, and my attempt to use it as a ramp did not go very well at all. Now, back to what I was going to talk about next. Now, let me know in the comments section below how you guys feel about customizing the stock trucks. Do you think it's going to add a lot to the game, or do you think it's going to just be something that you won't really touch? Because I know that customization in games like, say, Forza or Need for Speed are really, really, like a lot of people use those customization features. I use them all the time. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I ever played the new Need for Speed games was for the customization, because the customization was so in-depth. Now, obviously, this is not a Need for Speed game. This is very, very different, and, it's not a racing game. And I wonder, from y'all's perspective, from the perspective of somebody that's going to use a truck, out in the woods, do you still care about visually customizing it or giving it a weird, wacky, fun paint job? Because honestly, in the sense of the game, I think it would be absolutely hilarious to get a multiplayer party of 4 together and just run around a map, exploring a map in I don't know, pink pickup trucks with air horns on the roof, just wacky combinations of options that you normally wouldn't really find anywhere else. And I think that will be one of the biggest things that sets SnowRunner apart from really any of the other games that even try to enter this space. Now, something else that I did want to touch on is the fact that they said that in order to customize these trucks, you would have to unlock the garage on the map, right? So does that mean that when the playthrough of the map is done, you lose your customization options that you've put on the truck? Because that doesn't seem right. Now, I don't know if, the ability to customize your truck is going to be almost map-specific or save game-specific, if you have to start from, a blank slate every time you start a new map. I mean, it would make sense that would be the way you would do it, because that would because that's kind of how these games have played in the past. Like, that's sort of the formula that they followed in the past. Whereas, you know, you start a new map, you start fresh. Like, every time you start a new map, you start fresh. But if you're going to be spending a bunch of time and a bunch of money customizing your vehicles, do you really want to lose that, like, in an instant? I don't know. Like, that's another thing that I want some feedback from y'all on, because I don't know how I feel about using that same type of a system for customization, because I feel like, you know, when you customize a truck, you're going to get attached to it. And then when you get attached to it, you don't want to lose it. So again, let me know what you think about all of that stuff in the comment section down below. I thoroughly enjoyed, like, talking about all this stuff, and I feel like this will be a really interesting topic moving forward into SnowRunner. So again, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you all in the next one. Talk to you guys later.